So season two, the sports festival, it's done, which they adapted 3 episodes worth from volume five. And so today we're going to talk about everything that was left out of the sports festival, just like we did with the last one, the Zodiac test. So let's talk about it. The first thing that was left out was Pseudo, his soliloquy. If you guys don't know, they do soliloquies every book. However, it's left out of the anime version, and the soliloquies are basically the focal point of who the mini arc is going to be about. And this soliloquy was about Pseudo. Basically, his mother abandoned him. His father did not have the best type of job, and he wasn't really around. And so he had like daddy issues, mama issues, so he ended up giving up on his studies and he focused everything into basketball. And think of like a pro athlete and how a lot of people aren't around in your life, so the only thing you have to turn your anger towards is sports. And so that's what he did, and he was really good. But the reason why he didn't get into a lot of schools was because of his character issues and his bad temper, where the advanced nurturing high school ended up being something that he could turn to and that it guaranteed a future for him. So that's why he chose this school. The sports festival, it was different classes and different years versus each other, and they left out the part where they ended up meeting the different teams, so meeting different third years, and meeting different classes, so class A through D. Ruin and Ichinose, they were talking. She was trying to start working with him, but Ruin, he doesn't do that type of stuff, so he just ignored her. Katsuragi and Sakanayaki, they were involved as well. We actually got to see Sakinaki, I believe, for the first time, where she was sitting down and people were like, whoa, like she's disabled, so she won't be able to participate. And also Choppy Shira and Kiyotaka, they had a discussion about him going all out for the class. In the anime version, it was just like a glare and, like a mental thing, talking about like telepathy or whatever, that it was implied that that's why she was looking at him. But in the light novel version, they actually went in and, had a discussion about it. In the anime version, they showed the characters practicing, which happened in the light novels. However, they also showed Class B and Class A that they were doing reconnaissance, trying to scope out the competition. Pseudo, he does take the lead in the practice because he's physically the best and he has the most experience when it comes to sports. And he also asked Harika if he gets the best overall result that he can call her by the first name. In Japan, calling somebody by the first name means that they're close. He's doing it because he likes her, where she ends up agreeing. We also have that scene with Harika and Kishida and Kiyotaka where they meet, where we also find out that Kishida is the one who strained their relationship, that she's the issue. There's also characters like Nagamo, who you guys know, based off of what's going on in the anime version, that he's the new class president. I think that's really important because he got left out a lot in this arc, and he actually had some moments in this arc where he's starting to showcase why he's more of an important character. And also a character named Shibata, I believe he's from class B, was introduced. He does do a little bit in this arc, and he's also more of an important character, not really an NPC for class B. He's also introduced. And so Harika, later that night, when they're practicing, she asked Pseudo if she could run the anchor because her brother's going to be running the anchor in the relay, so she wants to be able to compete against him and show her worth. We then cut to the sports festival, which a lot of stuff was left out in the anime version. A lot of people are upset because it was a sports festival and we didn't really get to see a lot of sports. Like, don't get me wrong, they did a lot of good job adapting like the drama and like the important information, but they did leave out some important stuff when it comes to the race. For example, there was the 100-meter dash. Kiyotaka and Harada, they ran in the same group. Harada, he got first, and Kiyotaka, he got fifth. There was also Sakura, who raced. She got dead last because she stinks at sports, but she was trying to impress Kiyotaka, and he wasn't really paying attention to her, but he ended up lying, was like, yo, you did a really good job. And there's also Ibuki versus Harika that fought, where Harika ended up winning. I think this is really important because they have a rivalry. Look at the island test where Ibuki clocked her and was giving her that work, and Harika lost, so Harika got her get back during the sports festival. There's also the 100-meter hurdles. Kiyotaka, he's supposed to run against Kenzaki. He's Class B's second fiddle. And so Kenzaki, he talks about how Kiyotaka that Ichinose said he's holding back because Ichinose is a little bit wary of Kiyotaka, knows that he's more than meets the eye, and so she told Kenzaki that Kiyotaka was actually fast, where he denies that. They end up racing. I don't think they tell us the results. I think Kenzaki wins though, and Kiyotaka, he gets like third or fourth or something. There were other events. There's the knock the pole down, which class, I think class B and class C won. A whole situation where Albert knocking down, Pseudo getting beat up, etc. There was tug of war. There's the obstacle course race. There was three-legged race. And I guess also like the unisex three-legged race. And then there was also the 1200 meter race, and so a lot of that stuff was left out in the anime version, which I'll talk about the results here. In the obstacle course race, Harika, that's where she got injured, and I think that's really important because they off-screened it, but seeing the girl try and intentionally get her hurt, and it got spun where Harika was the one to get hurt. And in his race, Kiyotaka, him and Hirata ran, and they ended up getting first in their group. Also, the whole injury situation with Ruin and Kishida and Harika talking about it. Chobishiro was there. That's kind of important because Ruin can't say like a lot of stuff that he really wants to, and use a lot of coercion and manipulation and stuff in order to get Harika to kneel and give him all the points. And because Chobishiro being there, somebody from the school, she could end up saying that Ruin was the one who ended up getting Harika hurt, and that he was the mastermind behind everything. Then the second half of the day, different events. There's a scavenger hunt where Kiyotaka, he participates in, and he loses because a couple of the things he just couldn't do. He had to get 10 friends, which he doesn't have. Then he had to get a person that he loves, which he was embarrassed, and there was nobody that he really loved, so he didn't want to do that. And then there was also him having to get a clock, but by the time that he got an actual good choice, the event was over. There was also tug of war where they lose without Pseudo. This is important because it shows how strong Pseudo is and how important he is towards the clash. There's also Kishida and Kiyotaka. They ran the unisex three-legged race for Pseudo and Harika because they were missing and Harika was hurt, etc. And Pseudo and Harika, they were actually the best in the class when it comes to physical ability. But to be honest, Kiyotaka and Kishida, they didn't do bad. But I do want to mention they do have to pay, I don't know how many points, but it's a decent amount of points for substitutes, which is important because you need you need private points for everything in the school, and so losing a lot of them, just trying to substitute people, and especially Hirata, he was the one paying for it. Eventually other people chipped in, but just showcases how important private points really are. In the anime version, Nagamo only was like, see you later, senpai, but in the light novel version, him and Harika, they have a discussion where Nagamo's talking about how him being the new class president and how he's going to start implementing new school rules. That's really important for the upcoming arcs. And then lastly, there was an interaction with Sakinaki and Kiyotaka that was completely left out. They end up meeting in the special building. She has knowledge of the White Room, and she's like, yo, you're really the leader in class D. And she talks about how she knows his father and that she will end up beating her father's greatest masterpiece in Kiyotaka. I think that's very cool because it's her declaration of war towards him. But that's everything that was left out of the Sports Festival Volume 5. There was like other stuff, but it's like really, really minute, and I'm not going to go in detail with that because that's a waste of time. But let me know how you guys feel about this arc. I think they adapted. It was okay. I think the best episode was episode, I think it was 6, when they were racing with Manabu, and I think the worst episode that was adapted was episode 5. I give this adaptation probably about a 6 or 7 out of 10. If they adapted more of the sports aspect in a sports festival, this probably would have been like a 9 out of 10 arc. Other than that, I think they did a really decent job. Animation was a little bit spotty at times, but it is what it is. I'm really happy that we got a season 2, and then we're entering the next book, which is book 6. Doing the paper shuffle. That's a pretty good book, so you guys have already got my reaction to some of it, and then you'll end up getting some more stuff later down the line. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell to get never start a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.